beginning, when you get a good idea that's simple and to move ahead, you don't have to worry about the copyright. So don't let that in there.
So if I have my, hang on, I had my face in a yearbook. He takes that yearbook, puts my face exactly as it was in the yearbook into that thing. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's making a collage.
You're going to cut a triangle out of this face and put it on there and half an eye of something and like that. Okay.
So next week, I want you to start seeing your collection of faces, and you're going to start doing it.
I was looking through, popular science magazines and looking back. They have an old, series where they used to go back 50 years to the day, and what was the cover of? Okay, and it was just very optimistic. Technology is going to save the world. And then I looked at the current issues. It's the same exact idea, where technology becomes this lubricant for society, where everybody's going to be happier with technology. There's an alternate view. I was going through philosophical readings and stuff like that. And there's this, pessimistic view that technology robs us of our intimacy and that sort of thing. So I wanted to really tackle that by creating these ambiguous, technological images.
What I'm hearing and what I think you missed in what you were talking about is the idea of, can you sit down and think about what technologies will be in the future and how they will affect humanity?
Landscape and what our landscape might be, which is also a synthesis of old and the historical and what is currently modern and digitally
So
blurred.
if you give someone this, it's like, what are you giving them? Here's my problem
Yeah.
with blurred images, okay? And I'll just be very blunt about it. When you intentionally do something like this, you're intentionally obscuring any kind of that kind of information from the audience. And it's like what are you trying to put? It's like, as fuzzy as these images are, is as fuzzy as your concept of what it is you want to say is. And the clearer the images are, the clearer your concept is. From an art point of view.
No, but what I'm trying to convey
Right.
is that we're trying to get a perspective on the future, and that perspective is naturally blurred by the fact of the unknowable.
If you want to talk from an art point of view, you got to be really clear about what you're trying to do. The idea that artists can just say, well, I expect my audience to know what I'm thinking, is really a conceit on the part of the artist.
I sent out an email requesting people to send me their prayers for the future, which could be either personal or collective prayers for all of humanity or for personal. And I'm asking them to send them back to me, and then I'm going to overlay that text on the Virgin of Guadalupe.
So you want the image to be the afterthought, and you want the text to be the main.
You have a very personal connection to this, and what I'm trying to get you to do is to bring that passion. So I'm trying to get you to take take this energy that you have. It's the same sort of thing I said here in terms of, take these ideas and sort of run with them and see have some fun. Bring the passion into the art. Don't be afraid of the power that it has.
The question last week was, what is the definitive subculture then in the future? The answer to that is new ring.
Is what?
New ring.
New ring? You've given it a name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that a commune?
No, it's a temporary society. It's not sustained.
Society in transition.
Well, what happens is these societies that moved from the event of Woodstock went two different directions. Burning Man is more based on a pagan belief system where everybody goes out and they get crazy for about a week. basically. If you go the other way, you get the rainbow gathering. These two down, you're not following me?
No, I'm following you.
Okay, these two go down to
I'm
what
just
I want.
cringing at what we started back in the 60s.
What I plan on doing is something called Choose Your Own Adventure, Choose Your Own Future book.
As soon as you pass some point in the book, you're into the new group.
It blends together because regardless if I'm going to compare these two, because they do extreme at some point, regardless, there's still it's still surviving on its own self-government. There's nobody that's in charge. There's nobody it's all volunteer. So you volunteer your contribution, and everybody takes that, and you.
So there are
do yours.
similarities. There are
Exactly.
similarities in the.
Younger people are making digital art, and they're heading towards abstract routes, and I'm kind of just looking at that directly.
Why?
Computer is revitalizing painting.
You can't create art and then try to explain it. What motivates you to create?
That's where I'm struggling with the express.
Why are you creating these? Wait a minute. Let him speak.
I'm creating these looking at, and I'm trying to stay away from the word futurist, but looking at, what is art necessarily going to look like in the future on the screen? And is everything, going to be, sticking to the, representational images? Is there an abstract form of art, in the near future that's, purely digital, that isn't, done on paint?
So I'm just trying to understand that because I don't want to criticize from a position of ignorance. Emotionally, what do you feel? What do you sense?
It's like a caffeine jolt,
Like automatic?
Yeah, you get, you look at it, you get a, whoa,
It's very compact in the center. It's like a big ball of massive stuff going on.
I'm trying to cross over between a more pragmatic, traditional thing. When you feel anger, what do you feel? Where do you get that feeling from? Where does it come from?
Injustice.
Injustice?
Is strong. There's a lack of, life in it. And this was, the emotions that were expressed out of that. And I'm really interested to see, what you guys feel. What direction do we move from here as far as content goes? I want to get, stuff across to people, but I don't want it to be glanced, after 10 minutes.
There's a gem of an idea in here, but I'm not sure. I know how to put a word or a title or a definition to it.
I'm glad you feel my struggle, because Matt and I were talking for, a couple hours about how am I going to present this to the group. Because it's.
Well, this is good. This is what we're talking about. Just go do things and let's look at it, and it's going to stimulate something. I think what I'm interested in seeing is you're exploring, rather than doing these kinds of inserts like that, and you're beginning to do it, is how you introduce this alternative thing. I think this is very interesting because it's like you're overlaying on one particular landscape, which is actually indicative of why we're having fires here.
This is a wonderful composition, and I wondered how that came about. How did you know to do that?
It felt right. I felt I wanted to express kind of like his view of amazement to that object growing where everybody else is stomping around. It's sort of like I'm kind of playing on both.
But our souls can't take that.
Right.
How long have you been drawing?
Since I was very little. I guess that was a big complaint to my mom, from my teachers to my mom in first grade, second grade, that I drew in class. My wife seems to think that I'm maybe wasting my time with art, and
With art?
And the project. I think.
and this project, and because artists don't make the amount, the income that is they can sustain, a household. At least not me as an artist. I can't. Then I'm kind of looked at as a loser, or or a dreamer.
Each individual doesn't have a title. All 20 images have this one single title. Everyone has felt alone in the crowd. And just have that as the title for the piece.
I hope you're glad that you're part of this project.
I am ecstatic. I'm full of joy that I'm here. I'm glad. It's been really an awesome experience.
My piece is Face of America, where it's just be a whole bunch of images that is masked within a within text, and the text is going to form a face, and that's going to be the face of America. It's basically the percentages of different cultures and how they are starting to get more diverse.
How are you producing this?
This is going to be digitally outputted. I'm just going to do everything on the computer and just print it out in 10 by 16 formats.
So we have 4 of these different images. Each one deals with a different topic. With them, I'm including for the titles of each piece, is going to be, they're not necessarily going to be titles describing like a narrative type piece. Each word is going to signify a different emotion, so people read into that emotion. So people who maybe don't know a lot about digital media and they come and they say, what the heck is this? I'm giving them a little bit of what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling in the words, because of the influence of technology and new media, and having 24/7 news, and lots of advertising is being thrown at us. And I'm not necessarily I'm looking at my peer group in my area, people that can relate with me. So not necessarily 4-year-olds living in France or something, but mostly urban areas, people that are affected by this stuff that I'm influenced by.
It was more difficult for us, I think, because we were dealing with, we took a long time to develop what our actual concepts were going to be. We came up with this umbrella subject of multiculturalism, and because we have probably the most diverse cultural group in with gender and culture and race involved, we have just virtually everything can be offered. And so Donald, in his view, felt that was the best way to go. With painting, you have to develop the idea and get it on the canvas and then apply the pigments. And so the process is a lot longer than with the computer, because with photo and computer, there's an instantaneous thing. You can go out and create images, grasp images, take them to the computer, alter them in a day, and your image is complete.
You don't know how we're planning on showing your work. Do you want to come over here? This model that you made, Matt, really helps to visualize and place everyone's work. We decided to put it in the middle. So it'll have spotlight. This is where they walk on down to the rest of the gallery. And it'll be like a treasure.